The first night of nikah, and there's a lot of excitement and tension around it, and it's important that we as Muslims know what's the right way to go about it. So the nikah gets done. The first time the two spouses would have actually met together in privacy is after the nikah. The spouses or the two people, the husband and the wife, they're married now, and they are to basically see one another and to spend their first moments together. How does that, or what are the etiquettes and the adab and the sunan of the first night of marriage, the first day of marriage? It could be daytime as well. The first moment that you see your wife after, the first action that you should do when you meet together in privacy is pray salah, which is amazing. The husband should lead the wife in salah, and they should stand. It's 2 rakats of nafil salah, so you can read the salah loudly. You can read the tilawa loudly if it is indeed night time, or you can read them even quietly. Okay? If the sister can't pray because of period or not, whatever else, right? Any other legitimate reason for not being able to pray, then she can't pray, so she can do some tasbih and dua instead. Thereafter, one of the next sunan to do is that the man should place his hand on the forehead or on the forelock, which is the front part of the hair of his bride, and he should read the following dua. The dua is a very beautiful dua. Allahumma inni as'aluka khayraha wa khayra ma jabaltaha alay wa a'udhu bika min sharriha wa min sharri ma jabaltaha alay, which basically means that, oh Allah, I ask of you for the good in her, and I take refuge in you from the evil in her. And the second sunnah, you would say. The third thing would be to have some sort of a drink, because the Prophet ﷺ, or for the man to offer his wife some sort of a drink or some sort of a sweet dish or something like a dessert. The Prophet ﷺ, when he first saw al-Mu'minin Aisha radiallahu anha wa ardaha, and in the night of the dukhla, the night of them meeting together for the first time as a married couple, she was sort of decorated by Asma bint Yazid bin Sakan radiallahu anha. She decorated her sort of and done her sort of whatever decoration and beautified her, and then she invited the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to come into the room to see her and to sort of unveil her and to sort of meet his wife in privacy for the first time. And so at that moment, the Prophet ﷺ brought with him a cup of milk, and he offered that milk to her, and she initially refused. She was shy, and then eventually she accepted. So nafil salah, Allahumma inni as'aluka khayraha wa khayra ma jabaltaha alay wa a'udhu bika min sharriha wa sharri ma jabaltaha alay. That dua, offering a drink, if everything goes according to plan, or if everything proceeds and you're both comfortable and you're both happy, and if there is intimacy, if there is intercourse, then there is also another dua before that. And this particular dua is for every time intimacy takes place between the two spouses, and that dua is Allahumma jannibna ash-shaytana wa jannib ash-shaytana ma razaqtana. Oh Allah, keep shaitan away from us, and keep shaitan away from what you give rizq to us, what you provide us through this marriage, i.e. our children. And the hadith says that if someone recites this dua, then shaitan will not be able to harm the children. So that's the fourth point, which is to read that dua if there is to be intimacy. Now, a lot of people assume that, first night, so there has to be some sort of intimacy or intercourse, but this is not necessarily a rule. This is not particularly, you can't say it's sunnah or wajib or fard or anything like that. It's completely up to mutual agreement or mutual sort of comfortability. How do you achieve that comfortability and getting to know one another? So it's one of the things you do is, of course, the first thing you do is communication. You talk. So it takes time. And sometimes you may take, sometimes you may not. But the main thing is that you should not intentionally sort of delay it. You should not try to play hard to get. You shouldn't be like, oh yeah, I got married, I don't care about my wife, so yeah, I'm not gonna. That's just stupid. That's just gonna lead some sort of because it can have adverse effects as well. Someone might think, well, the guy doesn't like me, what have I done wrong? And that can have a long-term psychological impact as well, which is you want to avoid by all means. So it's really important to be comfortable. So talking, maybe sharing a meal, all of that stuff is all things that will allow for you to become more relaxed, and then eventually you can proceed with intimacy, or whatever Allah Azza wa Jal, has permitted for you or written for you, because there are certain guidelines on intimacy, as in intercourse. So now not everything is halal. In terms of guidelines, there aren't many, to be honest, because it's all about mutual experience and mutual agreement. There aren't many restrictions in that regard, but there are, for example, certain very strict restrictions. One of them is that you cannot have intercourse with your spouse if she is in her menstrual cycle or if she's in her postnatal bleeding. It is completely forbidden. فَإِذَا تَطَهَّرْنَ فَأْتُوهُنَّ is in the Quran, that you should only approach your spouses for intercourse, of course, which is in their times of purity, which is beyond the menstrual cycle and also beyond the nifas. So hayd is the menstrual cycle, the monthly cycle, and nifas, which is the postnatal bleeding. She is still your spouse. You are completely okay to express love and affection in any other way. You can hug, you can kiss, you can lie down next to one another, anything apart from basically intercourse. Number two, it is completely forbidden also to approach and to have intercourse through the anus. This is completely haram in our religion, and there are very, very strict that whosoever does this has basically this not followed and strayed from the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Coming now to after that night or after that moment, sometimes some people want to share their experiences. This is completely haram. You can't share your private experiences to anybody, even if they're your best friends. And I know, especially sisters, they have this thing about discussion, and they're besties and they're best friends, and they have to tell me everything. No, I'm not going to tell you everything. There's no need for you to know everything. Intimacy should be left between the two spouses, and to actually expose that is a big, big sin. The Prophet ﷺ strictly forbade it.